Well, hello. We are back. Two of us, at least, while we wait for one more. This is an echo of glory, of course. The main man will be back next week, but we'll get onto that in a bit. Joining me, Jake Robson, at least to start with, is the other Jake.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Not
You're looking
too bad.
happy.
I shouldn't be.
Shouldn't be,
I
you
was
shouldn't
happier
be.
at 9:50 last night, I think.
Yeah, goodness me. Well, we'll come on to that. We've also got Ali joining us very shortly. We jumped the gun slightly. He was having trouble parking, but I won't throw him under the bus. How you been? I haven't seen you for ages.
Last saw you at work, didn't I?
Yeah.
A few weeks ago.
I've been away, to be fair, so it feels like a long time.
Gibbs-White era.
Gibbs-White era. Yeah, goodness me. A lot has passed under the bridge. Hello, here he is. No, we are on. Unexpectedly. Suddenly somebody pressed the start button and here we are. Ali.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm all right. I'm a bit flustered.
It's all right.
Parking issues.
Plenty of time. It's all right. Johnny's not here, but he can still park you, so it's fine.
Yes, exactly.
We've got lots to get through, as ever. Keep your messages coming in. Jorge, already in. We'll read all of them out as and when we get going. There's plenty to discuss. I haven't seen you for a while, actually, Ali. How you been?
Yeah, all right. All right. I think I was called Richarlison last time for my lack of minutes, and I think I'm Yves Bissouma today for being there.
But unlike him, we will welcome you back into the fold.
Thank you very much.
We will talk about him a bit later because I'm sure you both got some thoughts on that. Let's crack on then. As I said, Johnny will be back next week. Let's crack on. What was it? 10? Did you say 10 to 9 last
Maybe
night?
12 to 9. 12 to 10.
So what do we think then? Just as an overarching feeling of the result, and we'll come on to the game. My overarching feeling is I'm actually a bit disappointed. A lot of the pundits are saying, well, there's a lot to take from it. But you don't get that close against a team like that.
I'm quite black and white with things with Spurs, and I completely appreciate there are positives to take. I know there was a lot, you know, that we liked what we saw, but our feeling should be that was a disgrace not to win that game. I know that's a strong word, but it is. We forget tiredness and whatever. PSG are a top side, and Dembele turned it on late on, and they scored we were 2-0 up with 5 minutes to go. I'm not even that bothered. It's the Super Cup. The Super Cup and the Community Shield, they're glorified friendlies. No one's going to remember Spurs winning the Super Cup this year. And if we just lost the game, fine. 2-0, it would have been fine. But to lose it in that way, it's just, we've got that horrible thing about us where we find ways to lose, and we can never seem to sort of shake that off under whoever. It doesn't matter who we've got in charge. I'm not blaming Frank, but we just capitulated late on. And I know they're really good, and I know their subs, changed the game for them, and our subs didn't do what we wanted to do, and we sort of lost our way when Richarlison and Paulinho came off. But it was poor, and that should be, winners. If we want to be real winners should be disappointed first and then go, let's take the positives.
Same with you? Or plenty to be positive about?
Yeah, I think I'm slightly more in the positives to take from it camp. I completely see what you're saying, and yeah, in the context of being 2-0 up with 5 minutes to go, it's really, really disappointing. I actually think it is more than a glorified friendly, and we would have remembered it for a long time if we'd seen winning a trophy, lifting a trophy. But
this whole glorified friendly thing is just to stick Arsenal fans are trying to beat us when we were winning 2-0 last night.
When you're not in
they want to win.
Yeah, when you're 100%. Not in it, it's a glorified friendly, and when you are in it, it's a massive game.
And I actually think also that's a really a Premier League English view. As we said with the Club World Cup, all the other clubs that are in it want to win it.
But it's like the Community Shield. The fact that we call it the Community Shield and they call it the Spanish Super Cup, and it's much bigger because every year it's an El Clasico or a Milan derby. Or PSG versus Marseille, whereas Palace, Liverpool, and it's not the Community Shield, for example. It's not a competitive game. It's the goals aren't official. Super Cup's different, but we've got that mentality of glorified friendly. I don't know why.
I think it was a really, really big game, and it would have been really great to win it. And when there's a trophy on the line, the most important thing 99.9999% of the time is just winning. It's just getting the result. If there was ever a time when a trophy was on the line and winning it wasn't 100% the issue, this was it. This was the 0.0000001% of the occasion for Tottenham in this context was about the performance as well. Like in the Europa League final, it couldn't have mattered if we'd played 10 million times worse than we already did and got the trophy. Last night, there was a tiny element of it, which was we want to see a good performance, and there is a lot to say for the buy-in that Thomas Frank will get from the players and the fans, because Spurs played really, really well. Like it was shutting down the best team in the on the planet. Let's not pretend that the Club World Cup meant anything. Like, this was the best team in the world. Yes, they were only just back from pre-season, or they barely had a pre-season. They were on holiday last week, but this was making the best team in the world look quite ordinary and make them change the way they play because of how we were pressing them and stuff like that. And 100% we would have rather play absolutely terribly, people come away and been like, maybe Thomas Frank's not the right guy, like overreacting in that way, and got the win. But if you want to take a bit of a positive from it, like, it's if you're going to losing like that was quite a good way to do it.
Well, Jorge says it's a missed opportunity. Hotspur Sam, good morning. Chris, hi boys, great show. Yes, Chris, you're right.
Say no more.
Neil, not many fans would have expected a win. Performance is a plus. Yes, I think that's fair. Neil, it's a pity there wasn't an Eze or even a Maddison or Kulu on our side, but we will come on to that. Let's talk about the starting 11 then, because when it came out, no one knows what's going on here. Is it 5 at the back? Is it 4 at the back? Is Spence playing as the left winger? I
think that's because the way the club put it out, the tweet put out, it made it look like it was a back 4.
Yeah, but then on the TV they had Spence.
Yeah, I know, but they always get that wrong for those kind of. If you go on the UEFA website for Champions League games, they never get the formation right.
Yeah,
they had Spence playing alongside Solanke last night.
They did.
Where it was always a back 3. Ali Gold put his predicted team out yesterday morning, which was back 3. So I thought, we're going to be playing a back 3 because he's not just plucked that from thin air.
It wasn't a back 3 though. In reality, was it? Danso was at right back and Porro was ahead of him, and that changed in the second half when we went 2-0 up and it became a back 5, same players. But what I loved about it was that it was adaptable. It's exactly what we were told we were going to get with Thomas Frank. Fluid, like maybe formations, like Pep's been saying for ages, formations are a thing of the past. Like, we've got a manager who's on it with what the modern trends, with what's going on in football and doing something different. Like, the personnel change shape. They do different jobs depending on the game state, where the ball is, things like that. And I loved it.
But one thing it definitely was, or certainly when the game started, it was a 3 in midfield behind a 2. And my first thought is, Kudus in a 2. I think that's good for Richarlison, actually, having somebody alongside him. Don't know about Kudus playing as a 2, and I certainly don't know about Sarr playing as a 10. That was just my first thought on the side. I like Palhinha. I like Bentancur alongside someone like Palhinha, and actually we saw that. I just was sort of worried.
I think he played. I think because of what we had available, and because he doesn't massively trust in any of our left wingers, is why maybe he would have played that way anyway. But if we had, just for example, I'm not saying we're going to sign them. If we signed Eze and Savinho last week, there is no way he plays a back 3.
No,
absolutely no way. And it might work moving forward, but when you play with a back 3, essentially you play with 8 defensive players, right? 9 if you include the goalkeeper. I know that there were wing backs and but we played with 9 defensive players last night.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I agree.
Kudus and Richard. That just won't happen. There's no way that will happen with a fully fit Solanke, 1 or 2 signings, Kudus there, and 3 left wingers on the bench last night.
Yeah,
I think that said more about them than the fact that how adaptable he is, which is great, and this could absolutely work in Champions League games. City next week, I'd be fine. Play that way and catch him on the counter attack. A bit more quality, a fully fit Solanke, and Kudus doing what he was doing, really getting us up the pitch. I think that can definitely work. But yeah, I think it was more the fact that what we had available.
Well, we already saw a massive dip, regardless of, obviously there was a massive change in how we were playing, but just just the way that we pressed early doors. I mean, we've got Danso monster bomb throws from the right, free kicks hoofed into the air. PSG not really on it for the opening, 60 minutes. But we got the goal eventually. As I said, it came from one of those hoofed free kicks.
Vicario was taking every free kick, weren't he?
Yeah, just bombing them forward.
Even in like close to their half.
And to be honest...
In their half. He took one in
it
their
was
half.
one. Do you know what? That was the goal, wasn't it? Kudus got fouled in their half.
I'm not sure it was.
No, that
'cause
wasn't
that
the
was
goal.
the one that everyone I was with started complaining about, and then he took the next one. And
He was just
scored
like, it was
from
like fair play. It was like Sunday League. It was just, keeper with a good kick. And
but you know you're going to
whack it in
get
the
that
box.
with a Thomas Frank side, and I don't think anybody has a problem with that. I mean, you look at Arsenal. I think what you want to see going forward is that does it become more than just that? And it is more than just that. I thought the way the goal went.
It was from a throw, actually, weren't it? The goal. I've just realised it was a throw from the left.
No, it was a free kick. I'm sure it was.
Was it not a throw from the left that
We've
it
all
hit
forgotten.
Van der Ven's back?
I thought it was,
And
that
then
was
went-
Vicario.
Oh, maybe. To be honest,
Someone who's listening.
So the second goal was definitely from a free kick.
Yeah.
Hoofed up. I mean, they were both quite similar in their way. The first goal,
Free
Free
kick.
kick, yeah.
free kick. There you go. Van der Ven was involved. I think the header, the initial shot was
Palhinha.
Palhinha.
Great save.
Fantastic save. In fact,
But you know what I loved about what Palhinha did was it's really like canny what he did. He just leant into Marquinhos went up to win the header and he was going to win it on his own, and Palhinha just lent his body into it, put him off balance. He couldn't get to it.
but when you see that kind of thing, like Palhinha, that's been worked on.
Yeah,
That's-
yeah.
you-
And also it's it's the kind of smart, nasty thing that the best teams and the best players do, and maybe like Ange was a bit too much of a purist for that kind of thing. He's like, I don't want to sully the game with that nastiness.
Yeah.
But like, that's what winning teams do.
And then the second goal similar. I've got it here. Romero, that header.
Nice header.
Terrible
Really
goalkeeping.
terrible goal.
Terrible goalkeeping, but we were always told when we were younger, weren't we? If you're going to get on the end of the header, head it down,
Yeah.
because then the goalkeeper's got to get low.
I thought the 3 players charging in to follow it up
Yes, we're going to touch
made
Oh, fine.
difference to the goalie.
Put
The
him off.
goalie dived and he was like, I can't just tip this. I need to get this.
He
Because if I
tried
just
to
get a
push it.
finger
He
on
tried to push it
exactly,
really far away.
Exactly. And because if those 3 players hadn't been following in, maybe he wouldn't have.
I thought
wouldn't have
Sarr
done
was
that.
going to maybe touch it, and he was just offside. But he did well.
Yeah, it was a fantastic header. And then just straight after that, obviously either side of half time, I'm thinking first goal, I'm thinking what a time to score. Second goal, I'm thinking, well, this is over. Because
And then nearly a few minutes later,
Yeah.
Danso nearly scored, which would have been an absolutely wild
Well, and also-
trio of goal scorers.
Who hit the post in
Kudus
the first
just
half
after
as
the
well?
first
I
goal.
think that might have been offside just.
Oh.
But that was
Right.
again from another set piece.
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Richarlison headed the ball down to him. I'm thinking...
Look, I think like the set piece thing is like, it's not ideal to have that be like sort of 90% of our threat for one game. Not ideal. Over a season, very much not going to be ideal. But there is something to say for like the noise that gets generated at the Emirates every time Arsenal get a corner.
Yeah.
Like the buzz, they get a corner and it's like, well, we've got a 30% chance of a goal here. Like the atmosphere that creates and like the positivity around that. Imagine every
You can
time
see
we
it
get a
sucking
free
the ball
kick,
in the goal, can't
every time you get a free kick, every time you get a throw in, everyone's off their feet. Like that didn't happen. That hasn't happened for years. And like you need to become a much, much more multifaceted team than just a set piece team. And obviously we are going to be more than that. But like, I'm up for it. It's like
it's a good weapon to have. Why not?
for sure.
Absolutely. And
Whatever standard of football,
Yeah.
set pieces
Yeah.
and throw-ins are so crucial. I know you don't see often like the great Barcelona and Real Madrid teams do it, but look, we've got one of the best teams in the country, Arsenal, and it's probably their biggest weapon.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Perhaps it's sometimes their downfall. Gary's just on the comments. Thanks for being here, Gary. It's a good time to remind everybody that you can win a signed Mickey van der Ven shirt. That was from the
Europa League
Europa League final. That's
Yeah.
the one. Good time to mention it after you score. But in order to do that, you need to be an Echo of Glory member. So you need to do that on your laptop or on your PC or whatever you've got on YouTube, on the YouTube page, and you can sign up then to be in with a chance to win that we will announce some point later on in the season. Read a couple of other comments. I am the problem. No, we did not draw, we lost. Okay, yeah, no, that's a play on our title. We were trying to have a bit of fun with that, so sorry about that. Are we seeing it here? Am I supposed to hold it up, or are we gonna see the shirt? There we go. There it is. Look at that. You can win that. So get on the YouTube page and become an Echo of Glory member. Adam Flanagan's woken up. Polini is such a good signing. He's given us what we lacked in midfield last night. Come on, Jake, you should know better than to think it's all over at 2-0. What I did, and also, Romero scores that goal, and I just wanted to add, we'll come on to the captaincy thing in a sec. He scores that goal. There was then, they get down the other end. He blocks that shot from Kvaratskhelia that he cuts in from the right. He blocks that. Then there's a bit of a melee. He's up there in the PSG players' faces, and I'm thinking, this is what we wanted. This is why, as long as he can keep it all together, score a goal down at one end, get back up the other end, and start really leading the team from the back, basically. And I think that's partly, as fans, what we want to see from him going forward.
Yeah, I think as much of what we want to see from him is a full season of him, because he always misses, he always gets injured, he always misses a couple of games for suspension, and the best players don't do that. The best players are there the whole time. It's hard to criticise someone for getting injured, but I feel like sometimes his injuries are for flying in for a challenge that he doesn't need to.
Abilities, availability.
Yeah, and he will get better. We will get better having the same players available. Something I wanted to touch on later was this: whether are we going to see that this season that the problem under Ange wasn't his crazy football? It was that this group of players are too injury prone, and Romero is one of them.
We've got too many of them.
Yeah.
Well, we will be coming on. Ali's done an article that we will
little teaser for later.
Run the absolute rule over. We've got graphics to show you as well for that. I think the other thing with Romero, though, obviously is his availability. But there were times last season, I'm thinking that Newcastle game last season, when he's running out.
Yeah.
That is also part of what, the captaincy may hopefully get rid of that kind
His
of...
discipline needs to improve, and I don't mean yellow cards and giving away fouls.
I think we're going to see it. Something I noticed him.
He defended his box so well last night.
He did really, really well last night. But something I think we will see is our centre-backs following with the press against maybe less good teams. Centre-backs following as the forward drops really deep, I can see our centre-backs following with them. That's something that Thomas Frank's done before. And Romero's not going to need to be asked twice to do that. If they're follow him wherever he goes, follow him to the opposition's box. So it might be a bit crazy, but the modern game.
Personally, I think it's a big season for us in the Romero story. If we have a good season, I think he could stay. Otherwise, I still think, even though he's captain, this time
100%.
Next year he's going to go. Mr. Transfers over here. What do you reckon?
I don't know.
Because he's got 2 years left. He's got
maybe
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years left. He's got 2 years left.
Oh, you reckon leave on?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Would it be worth selling him for not a lot next summer?
If he wants to go.
It didn't feel like anyone was really, really in for him this summer. I think he thinks that more clubs want him than they do, because no one wanted him this summer really. Maybe Atletico.
Yeah.
I think he thought maybe Real Madrid or.
I suppose.
I don't know. I don't know. No one was really in for him.
If Spurs have a bad season, he probably won't have had a great season.
True.
So interest in him won't be as high. If Spurs have a good season, interest in him will be higher. He'll cost more. So yeah.
The only problem is from his point of view, and he's probably got bigger aspirations than playing for us, right? In the nicest way possible.
Yeah.
If he signs a new deal under Daniel Levy's ownership, at he 26, 27?
Yeah.
If he signs a 4-year deal and he's got 5 years left on his contract,
I think he's 28.
Yeah,
he's never going to be able. He's not going to be able to leave any time soon before he's 30, unless
27.
someone.
That's why I don't think. That's why I don't think it's been suggested that we should get him to sign a new deal. I just don't see it happening.
I don't think he will, but it would be great. If
I just want to talk about the subs then, because basically the subs happened and then all hell broke loose. That seems to be sort of looking at watching the game. It's very easy to say the subs weren't good, but when they came on, I just think it's so difficult in a game like that. I know it's only whatever you want. PSG are still on the beach, that kind of thing. But we saw Archie Gray come on. I don't mind the substitution because I like to see Archie Gray play in the 6. And I guess as a young player, we can't give him too much of a whacking when he comes on and doesn't do it, because that's probably going to happen with somebody. Was he still 19, 18? Yeah. So I think you have to take the rough with the smooth a bit on that. I think the Solanke one is tricky as well because he's injured. Well, he's coming back to fitness. Richarlison's had a good game and a physical game. You know, he's really looked after the ball, Richarlison, and that's what you want Solanke to come on and do.
He had a different job though. Solanke was isolated, like Europa League semi-finals vibe of like, you're on your own up there, we're all defending. Richarlison had us a bit closer to him in his defence, but yeah, it did all. It's hard not to blame individuals, but I suppose as the team dropped, it was also circumstantial. As the team dropped back, PSG had more possession higher up the pitch. It does become a different game. Like, it's much harder. And PSG took off like 3 of the best players in the world, but still brought on, still improved. Like, we might not have heard of some of the guys they brought on, but they're still clearly like really good. So yeah.
I think the one that frustrated me was Richarlison's not really a 90-minute player. The way he plays and he hustles and bustles, you look at him from last season, he hardly ever plays. Not even because of his fitness, but he just doesn't. Fine, you know, Solanke came on, he looked really leggy, he didn't look fit. The one that really bugged me is Paulinho. I didn't feel the need
to bring him off.
I said to my friend who I was watching it with, he brought him off on 77 minutes, and I thought he could have waited 10 minutes. It didn't, you know. Archie Gray had 1 touch, which, you know, okay, I know we didn't have the ball. We had 1 touch in 20 minutes.
It smacks to me.
I remember him touching the ball.
Game.
Sorry, go on.
No, go.
I remember him touching the ball, and it was just like.
But I remember. I checked it after because
I
thought, you know, when people say he hasn't touched the ball, but then you look and they have. I was thinking, I can't remember him touching the ball. Yeah. And I'm not blaming Archie Gray. You know, it's not easy to come on in a game where we were getting pushed back deeper and deeper. But you could see Paulinho's reaction when he came off. He was like,
was he?
We don't, you know, and then he was like a manager on a touchline for the last 20 minutes, as if like, I should still be on the pitch.
He went off at 71 minutes.
71. So Gray was on for 25 minutes and he had 1 touch.
Yeah.
Was it 1 touch?
Yeah, 1 touch.
Again, I'm not blaming him because, you know, Paulinho didn't get the ball down and play. I doubt he had many touches, but I sort of thought, I worried about that lack of experience at that time. We still had a lot of experienced players, but in the middle, I sort of thought, that felt like such a crucial position, and we could have. I thought we should have just waited. I'm not even blaming Frank, but I felt like we could have hung on.
No, but you get the feeling if that's a Premier League game, unless it's because Paulinho is not up to speed fitness-wise. If that's a Premier League game, he's just playing 90 minutes every week, isn't he?
We need him to, as Johnny said last night.
And Kudus, like they're going to both play. They're both so crucial straight away.
Paulinho to be on the pitch a lot this season.
Yeah, but
as long
as he doesn't get booked,
he didn't get
suspended.
One.
As long as he doesn't get suspended. Ali Min Son, old guy here. Every time Martin Chivers took a throw in, we expected a goal. Well, I tell you what, if we see some more of those throw-ins that Dan saw, those bombs, we could be on the end of a few more. Krisk, I agree. Why no Brennan? Well, yeah, maybe. Could Johnson have come on? I mean, I was surprised Bergwell didn't start, to be honest. When you're playing Sarr, although Sarr had a very, very good 89 minutes, it almost felt to me like Sarr was being played as...
He was everywhere.
But more in that role for his pressing rather than... Because you know you're not getting creativity from him, but he is going to win the ball back high up the pitch.
I don't even know what Sarr is.
Yeah.
And he's our least technical midfielder. But he reminds me of Yaya Toure at times. I know he's nowhere near as good as technically and will never score the goals, and but he was an absolute animal around that pitch. He was hunting them down, and the way we played and pressed them suited him so much. But I don't know, if we play a 4-2-3-1, I don't know where he fits, especially if we've got Paulinho and Bentancur, and we're going to play a number 10. Yeah. Naturally it's not going to be Sarr. Yeah. If it was Eze or Kulusevski, I don't know where he fits.
If you have more creativity in the wide positions, like not players like Johnson and Son, for example,
and Eze or Savinho,
for
example.
Something like that. If you've got a 10, Sarr in the 10 as someone who makes runs beyond the centre forward, like he scored 3 goals in a couple of games in pre-season. That kind of player, like a pressing monster, like reading the game, intercepting the ball, making tackles, just like physicality. And that's the thing he needs to add as well, is like crashing the box, scoring goals. Because like his cross for Brennan in the Europa League final was obviously like very good. It was quite good. It wasn't like fantastic, but his crossing's not particularly good. His vision's not
not a great passer
good.
of the ball.
But I do think like I I mean, he was brilliant last night.
Yeah,
I thought he was the best player on the pitch.
Yeah, he was.
They kept mentioning it on commentary.
I mean, could you see him playing alongside Palhinha?
I think he'll play plenty.
Yeah.
I think there'll be. I think without being as black and white as saying, he's going to play in this game and this, but I can see Champions League games and games we don't have the ball, away game. I'm not saying don't play him in this game, but Burnley's a prime example. Like, you don't really want Sarr in there trying to break Burnley down.
Yeah, and Palhinha isn't very technical. He's like I win the ball and play it to someone else.
Like an old-fashioned,
And you don't want him to be getting the ball and giving it to Sarr. You want him to get the ball and give it to Bentancur or Gray or
I'm not saying he won't start any game at home, for example, or any game against a team who are going to dominate the ball. But generally, City away next week, perfect. Press City, they're not the best out the back. Press them.
He needs a bit of space to go 100%. Into, doesn't he? Like, he doesn't want to be up against a low block.
He's still very young. He's 22.
He's brilliant.
He was really, really good.
I really like him.
I was annoyed that, this is such a small thing to be annoyed about, but UEFA bloody gave man of the match to Dembele. Did absolutely
nothing. That's a classic win the game.
What the hell is that?
Because they'd already made the decision. Ali McCoy gave him man of the match about 4 times.
Yeah. Do we need to talk about the pens? Anything to add?
Why is Van der Ven taking one? I think this is it. I mean, it's easy to say sat there watching it in like a relaxed environment on my arse, but I wasn't pleased that Bergvall didn't just step up.
I thought it would be those 4 and Bergvall
instead of Van der Ven.
And then when Van der Ven took it, I thought, well, he's just going to hit it hard, isn't he?
Yeah, straight and high and
hard, and
it was the worst pen.
What annoyed me more was, and I get that they wanted possibly our most technical player fifth. Porro is got probably the most ability on from dead balls, but I thought it has to be Porro taking third. It has to be.
Yeah.
I know they'd already decided, but it felt like such a crucial penalty. Fine, I never moan too much. No player should ever take a penalty. Artel did. He's never missed one in his career. Great. I don't know how he missed it. It was an open goal, really.
Well, he did the same as Vitinha.
You almost deserve to miss taking a penalty like that. Just go up and confidently stroke it home. I hate it, and I know Jorginho did it, and certain players maybe Nani used to do it, and it works for a lot of players.
Vitinha did it.
Yeah,
Solanke did it. Solanke did it.
Yeah, if it works fine. But I don't really like that. The slow run up, I don't really love. But penalties.
Van der Ven's penalty reminded me of Gareth Southgate and Stuart Pearce.
It's a penalty. It's a penalty that a Sunday League goalkeeper saves because when they just fall and they just save it.
You felt like that kind of penalty. You have to guess the wrong way, the keeper. Otherwise,
you know what it is. It's a penalty of someone who runs up and still is making their mind up. Really, if you want to take a penalty well, exactly. You know what you're doing. Whether it's the Solanke tell method or the other method, what you're doing, and Van der Ven just kicked it. He was like, I'm going to run up and kick it.
I thought it was going to be it's going to take it like a goal kick, and he was just going to go up and blast it.
Should have just gone straight, high and straight.
But There's no way the goalie Ramos just thought, I'm just going to put my foot for it.
Well, I was going to say, did you see how fast the ball flew off Bentancur's foot? It just went into like a rocket.
But I agree with what Ali says, because often, you look, Van der Ven could have scored and you'd say good pen, but often, someone like Bentancur has decided he's obviously taken a penalty before, and a bit like Solanke. I know Solanke did that run.
Up and he knows
like
what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing. He's picked the. Van der Ven just sort of maybe didn't even pick a side. He just kicked, shot when he shot, and then it just went wherever it went, and it obviously,
Can I pick out something else disappointing from the shootout? Vicario went the wrong way every time.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happens. That's quite an achievement to go the wrong way.
In this day and age, with players that
where's his water bottle?
We saw what happened in the women's Euros.
Just to go the wrong way. I mean, like not saving a penalty against 5 really good technical footballers, fine, but to go the wrong way every time. There's some planning going wrong there.
I was a goalkeeper, and I know that it's really not easy.
Of course not. Goalkeepers Union.
But he's had. Someone said last night, which could be wrong. He's had 16 penalties in a row have gone in against him. Obviously,
I saw that.
4 last night. I don't know, but
Vitinha didn't.
No, but as in he's not saved a penalty. Look, I'd never do it. Petr Cech had a terrible record at Arsenal for years, and he was one of the best keepers.
Chelsea was good.
But I would never, you know.
I feel like I can make this joke, but were you talking 5-a-side goalie or?
No, 11 aside.
Oh, okay, right. As somebody that's about the same height as you. Okay,
5'9".
Right. Are you really? Oh fuck! I've done you out of a couple of inches.
How tall are you?
Yeah, like 5'7".
You're 5'7".
So, yeah, something like that. Maybe.
Yeah. Anyway,
on a hot day.
I was in one shootout which we lost, and I saved 1 out of the 5, and I went the wrong way for every other pen, because I remember. I'd never been in a shootout, and I'd only been a keeper for a few years, and I was trying to wait until they sort of went up, and then you just need to guess.
You have
before.
to
You guess before and just
dive as hard as you
can't
can.
look at where and try and
No.
think, oh, I'll wait. And,
No.
No.
Wait.
I'm not trying to say
No, it's
that
more
goalkeeping
frustrating
is
than fun.
easy, but like to go the wrong way 5 times.
He gave Fraser
quite-
Forster a run for his money.
Quite
didn't he?
crazy.
Against
Yeah.
Fulham, because
Oh,
that
God,
was
the
worst
worst
penalty shootout I've
Yeah.
ever seen from
No.
a goalkeeper.
Yeah, I agree.
It wasn't good.
That was bad.
A couple of bits before we have our Burnley guest on. Might as well ask this question now. You sort of touched on it earlier. Is that how we're going to line up against Burnley? Maybe not personnel, but in that formation. Because all I'm thinking in that opening 20 minutes is, this is good, but how do I see this going for 38 games in a Premier League season? Ali, I'll start with you. Not necessarily the lineup, but what formations are you going to go with? Assuming we don't make any signings that are fit to play between then and now.
I can't see.
You don't think it's 3 at the back?
I can't see 3 centre backs playing.
I'd
Right.
make one change.
I'd take one of them out. Like, it could be Romero because of his because he had so much cramp at the end of the game. Like, he was.
So we're talking 4-3-3.
I mean, like, it's kind of funny because like Danso suddenly with who else in that squad could take a long throw? Like, it's obviously a consideration.
Danso's
but maybe
going to be coming on late in a lot of games.
But like maybe Danso drops out and you chuck in
Brennan
a
Johnson, won't it?
Bergvall maybe plays.
I think Bergvall's got to play, hasn't
and
he?
then Brennan Johnson as well. I can't see them playing that many defenders against Burnley.
So we're thinking 4-3-3.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
With Bentancur, Palhinha, Sarah, and maybe Bergvall.
Any chance?
yeah.
Any chance we play 2 wingers and Kudus
Well,
in the middle?
is it,
Just because it's against Burnley, we're going to dominate.
Johnson
Scott
and then
Parker,
maybe
Scott
Odegaard.
Parker teams, especially, do not have a lot of the ball.
Yeah.
We are going to have the ball for 90 minutes. I think we need as many attacking players on the pitch.
And
as
do we
can
think
within reason.
Tell is ahead of Odegaard in the pecking order?
I wouldn't go off one game.
I think so.
Maybe maybe, but he's not ahead of Johnson. Sorry, not ahead of Johnson. Johnson didn't come on last night, which you would have thought out of the
Yeah,
three.
but if he
would be
plays Kudus in the 10,
well, it would be
Johnson,
Tell and
Kudus,
Johnson, yeah.
Tell. Okay. Well, let's get the Burnley perspective, because we're luckily enough to be joined by somebody who follows not just Burnley but all the teams up there in the northwest. Adam Cottier is a commentator as well, BBC Lancashire and other things as well. Here he is, sat in his car. Cots, thanks very much for coming on.
No problem at all, Jake.
So let's start off then with Burnley. Obviously, how they've been or how they're looking in pre-season. They made a lot of signings, didn't they? What kind of side? I don't know if people would have seen them play in the Championship last season, but they were obviously famed for being very, very solid defensively. Is that the kind of team you think we're going to see in not just this weekend but in the Premier League as well for the duration?
They're a pragmatic team under Scott Parker. They've made pragmatic signings. I think they absolutely needed to some experienced Premier League players. They brought in Armando Broja, who has only made 8 starts for Chelsea. They need him to stay fit. Kyle Walker clearly is the most eye-catching of the signings. Obviously at the wrong end of his career, but that rich experience will stand them in good stead. Ugo Chukru's come in as well from Chelsea. Obviously I think he's got 22 Premier League starts to his name. So, and then Dubravka in goal, who's replaced James Trafford as well. So they have been smart in the market. I don't think they're particularly done with the market. Pre-season has been okay. They lost to Lazio in their most recent game. Interestingly enough, he played with a back 5 there. Pragmatism is very much the sort of aura around Scott Parker's style, and that's the reason why they kept so many clean sheets last season.
How do they go about doing that though in the Premier League this season, and not just keeping clean sheets, or obviously scoring goals as well?
They need players to step up. Their most outstanding player last year, certainly defensively, was Maxime Esteve, the centre-back, probably the best player in the league. He played the second half of the season where they were relegated under Vincent Kompany. This is a very different team to the one that they experienced, that the fans experienced under Kompany, which was far too erratic for Premier League football. Esteve has probably developed a lot over the last year or so, certainly under Scott Parker, but he's lost his centre-back partner, CJ Egan-Riley, who's gone to play in France. That might change the dynamic in terms of the way Burnley defend, but I think they needed to get in a strong goalkeeper who they can rely on, and Dubravka will be that person.
Is there much hope up there? What's the general feeling up there of, whether Burnley can avoid relegation? Because obviously under Kompany, obviously I appreciate completely different scenario, but they sort of went down without a fight.
Yeah, I think so. I think they see more of a defensive structure to the way Scott Parker sets his team up. I think there's lessons being learnt. He still has quite a bloated squad, Scott Parker, so that they'll need to trim that before the window shuts. There's a lot of players in the Burnley squad that will just not get game time. They've gone to Bruin Larson again, brought him in, who was a decent player in a bad season 2 years ago. So I think lessons will have been learnt. Scott Parker's totally different to Vincent Kompany. And of course, as you guys will know, Scott Parker will be desperate to prove himself in the Premier League after what happened at Bournemouth.
And what about hopes for Marcus Edwards? Because obviously we know him at Spurs. He's scored at the Spurs stadium for Sporting Lisbon. Are we going to see him this weekend? And how much will we see of him this season?
I think you'll see him this weekend. I think there's rich talent with him. He did well. He hit the ground running when he came in last season for Scott Parker. It's about consistency with players like Marcus Edwards, isn't it? A return to the Premier League for him. But yeah, he has got a deep amount of talent. It's about managing that talent as well in terms of how much game time they get, what position they play. Josh Brownhill, who was Burnley's top scorer last season from midfield, he's not there anymore. He's gone after the expiry of his contract, so there's a gap to fill there. Maybe Ugo Chukwu fills that. I'm not sure, but like I say, I don't think Burnley are quite done in the transfer market just yet.
You mentioned the goalkeeping situation. How obviously Dubravka, plenty of Premier League experience. How big a loss though will Trafford be, do you think?
Well, Trafford didn't have a great season in the Premier League when they were relegated. No. There weren't many Burnley players who did. It was a struggle from the get-go. Trafford was great last year. Clearly, any goalkeeper that keeps 31 clean sheets is going to have had a good season, but he had a really strong defence in front of him. If you take Esteve out of that Burnley team, they do not keep 30 clean sheets. I'm absolutely certain of that. I'm pleased for them that they've got someone like Dubravka in, because that experience, as I said at the very start, is going to be vital for them if they're going to have any chance of staying up. They've learnt lessons from last time. They didn't have that experience under Kompany. They brought players in who weren't ready for the Premier League. This time they probably have.
What we've obviously got Wilson Odobert signed from Burnley last year. You've obviously seen him play presumably a lot more against Premier League teams than we have. He only sort of made a handful of starts last season, a few in Europe, and he's sort of down the pecking order. He didn't come on against PSG last night. How good do you think he could be?
Very good. Again, it's tough, isn't it, with the big clubs? You're never going to be starting every single game. You're never going to get that consistency. And certainly if you're a wing forward, clubs tend to have two players each for that position. You could see the quality when he made his Burnley debut. I remember he scored some outstanding goals. I wasn't surprised when he got the move to Spurs. I'll be honest with you. He had an injury, didn't he, for a bit? There's talent there, but it needs the right coaching, and maybe Thomas Frank is the right manager to bring the best out of him. I think you could pick many players out at Brentford that might be similar to someone like him, and maybe we can do that. But yeah, there's talent there. There's no question he deserved the move to a club like Spurs.
And this Saturday, are we going to see a Burnley team with zero attacking threat whatsoever, or are they going to come out of their half at all? Obviously, like, best defensive record the Football League's ever seen last season. That can't have involved much attacking.
It didn't, and a lot of people unfortunately labelled Burnley as rather boring at times. I think if you're a tactical-minded football fan, you appreciate what they were doing and how they were getting results. But yeah, for the paying fan, maybe not the most exciting on the eye. I think they'll start with a back three. Given they played Lazio last week, they started with a back three with Walker, Ekdal, and Esteve as the three central defenders. So that gives you an indication that they might be going to a back three, which has not been a regular formation for Burnley over the last few years, and certainly not when they were in the Premier League under Sean Dyche. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Armando Broja brings to that forward line, because Lyle Foster's the other forward, and he hasn't scored regularly at all over the last 2 years.
How do fans generally feel about Parker? Because obviously, getting him up is sort of one thing, but I've spoken to a few Fulham fans, and he did the same with Fulham, and they became sort of very fed up with the football. And do you think if we saw sort of similar this season, he fans could quickly lose patience?
I think there's a deep appreciation of what he went through last summer. They lost 21 players, I think I noted last summer, and that was a huge upheaval. And there was a time at the start of the season they lost a game at Sunderland, and Parker was really, really upset and concerned about the changes of player personnel, and they came through that, and he steadied the ship very much so. And obviously they went on to have the season they have. I think that pragmatism is admired by the Burnley fans, and I think because of that quality control over the squad and the way it plays, I think there's there's a lot of there's by no means apprehension about what Scott Parker's doing. I think he will be given the time to see this through.
Lovely stuff. Oh, you wanted one more?
Am I right in saying Burnley have got on a 30-something game unbeaten run in the league? Is that right? Since maybe November? I'm not sure if they lost from when they lost again in November. Are they not on a ridiculously long run?
33 games.
Their home record's outstanding, that's for sure. And they're certainly in the Championship. When did they? I can't. Do you know
33 what? 33 games. We've just checked. It's 33 games.
Yeah.
So
33 games, 31 clean sheets. I think it was last year.
Wow.
Which is just remarkable. But as we all know, guys, the Premier League is a tougher animal to deal with.
It's the best league in the world. Cots, thank you so much. You're now officially a friend of the show. You're in your car by the looks of things, or in someone's car. I assume you're at a press conference?
At Fleetwood Town's training ground. So I've just spoken to Pete Wild, the Fleetwood manager, and now I'm going to see Steve Bruce at Blackpool.
Oh, they really get their pound of flesh from you, don't they? Well, we'll catch up, no doubt. I'll see you in a press room somewhere. Thanks for coming on,
Take
mate.
care.
Cheers.
Yeah, no worries. All the best, guys. Thank you.
So, yeah, I mean, we sort of know, well, we think we know what we're going to get from Burnley. We're going to come on to your article in a sec, Ali, but I just want to, the thing that everyone's talking about, aside from your article, is, of course, transfers. We've signed João Palhinha. We've signed Mohamed Kudus. If you look at the books officially, we've signed Danso and a couple of others. Tell.
Kota Takai.
Yeah, exactly.
But in theory, we've signed two players.
In theory, we've signed two players. We're all crying out. Son's gone, so we're all crying out for in want of a better phrase, a Son replacement. We all want another fullback, but doesn't seem that just seems to have disappeared. I mean, we're going to go into the season with three fullbacks again to play in Europe. I mean,
Archie Graham.
Yeah, maybe, but
pushing the boat.
Sure.
Too much.
Eze and Savinho are the two. I mean, Savinho's gone quiet for the last couple of days. Do we see either of those actually happening? Start with you, Jake. And if not, well, if we don't sign one of them, where are we going to go?
Will we sign? I'd like to think we'd sign one. I know this is what no one wants to hear, but I'm fully just expecting Arsenal to get Eze eventually.
Yeah. Well, he does.
When we are, I want him so badly. He's one of my favourite non-Spurs players in the league. I think he's brilliant. He would be an incredible, possibly the best signing we've made since I can't even think who. Genuinely,
and the best signing we could make. This summer.
Like literally, you look and think who would be the best number 10/winger that we could get outside of the elite Eze. He would be one of the only times in recent years we've actually gone out and signed someone. And I can't remember the last time we
Madison,
signed a player.
that was a relegated club. I said Madison was our best signing since Ginla in terms of kind of biggest.
Maybe
name,
that. Maybe Eze since Van der Vaart.
But also, that's a long time though.
But also, I think the difference is, I don't think like Madison could have gone to Arsenal.
No,
I don't think Madison.
Eze's got the threat of he's been linked with Man City.
Yeah, he could,
Arsenal want him. Man
Eze
United
could go to City. I don't think Madison
Munich
could have gone to Man City.
Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, I just fear that those lot will come in and match a bid. I know there's this stuff about they need to sell, and maybe they're selling Trossard eventually. If we're going to get it done, it feels like it needs to happen very, very, very quickly.
I think the unfortunate thing with somebody as good as Eze is that we can't do anything about it.
No, I'm not blaming us.
If he wants to go to Arsenal.
I will blame the club for a lot of things. But if we don't get Eze, if we don't get Eze because we've not bid enough and Arsenal don't want him, that's a different story. But if he wants Arsenal, can you blame him?
Absolutely.
No.
Is Savinho good enough?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Been at City for a year, they don't want him. I'm sort of like...
I think... we need more better dribblers, and that was part of the reason, a huge part of the reason, probably the main reason we signed Kudus, because we didn't have enough players who could beat their man last season, for example, and you need more than one, because really we've got maybe Tell and Odobert. Like even Kulusevski's that's not really his thing. He's not really like a bigger man. Johnson definitely isn't. Like Solanke's not. Even maybe Jed Spence is a good dribbler. Like we don't have many at all. I think Savinho's definitely good enough. I am quite pessimistic on that though, because I do wonder why someone would go to City, have a year there, and then be like, okay, I'm gonna. Like Spurs aren't near City.
Yeah, but this is my point.
We are in the Champions League, but we're not near City. We're not going to challenge City. We're not for the top 3 this season. And I wonder if Savinho might have he might think of himself as a top 3, top 2 player, in a league. Like he'll be thinking Real, Barca, top 3 in the Premier League. Maybe Bayern, and he might have that kind of mindset. Yeah. So I'm a bit pessimistic on it.
So we could end up with neither, which would be good, wouldn't it?
My only concern about Savinho, who I really, really, really like, I watched him last year and I was really complimentary about him, and fans should love that kind of player.
Yeah,
he gets bums off seats. He's exciting, and I know he didn't score many goals and whatever. My only slight concern is Tell, Odobert, Savinho. They're all young. They're all raw.
Savinho's more established.
Is more established. He's had he got Girona into the Champions League. Great season there.
He's a Brazil regular.
Yeah, he's probably made over 100 senior appearances, and he's a level above where Odobert and Tell are in terms of experience and exposure. That would be my only concern, but I would be really happy.
I mean, signing
him
him would mean that Odobert and Tell develop less.
If we signed him, I wouldn't totally rule out Odobert going out on loan. I wouldn't rule that out, because with potentially Brennan Johnson playing on the left, it'd be weird to send Tell out on loan having just got him now.
It would.
Right. I could just see that, because you think if we get Savinho, who's predominantly going to play on the left with Kudus on the right, Kulu to come back, Johnson can play on both sides, and Tell, even Richarlison, you sort of think, where does that leave Odobert?
I like that idea. Like he could go to Brentford and play 38 games, but back to Burnley.
Do you know what kind of worries me slightly is if you look at what we've done, and I know they've probably got more levers to pull and more money slushing about, maybe, is if you look at the business that United have done, they've just gone whack, new front 3.
Yeah.
That's not that. I don't.
Mbumo, Cunha, and
that might not
Sesko.
work.
It may not work. It may not work. And I agree, such a massive change. But you're looking at us going, we're still here, and we're still kind of like, are we getting this one? Are we getting that one?
It's made so much worse by the Gibbs-White debacle. Yeah. Like, if it wasn't for that, it would just be sort of, well, we know we need to sign players. The Maddison stuff has would have then been like, right, now we need a 10.
Yeah.
But Gibbs-White happened way before Maddison got injured. So
this is the thing that I'm a bit unsure about.
They obviously were like, we need someone in that position. To have the backup lined up, like you can't just go into that and be like, well, we're going to get Gibbs-White.
Yeah.
But
my concern is they went for Gibbs-White, obviously. Then Maddison got in, so they wanted the number 10, right? Because of Gibbs-White. Then Maddison got injured. Then Tottenham really want a number 10, but it's like, well, no, not really, because we already were trying to sign a 10.
Yeah.
So I don't really get it.
No.
Yeah, it's not great.
We already wanted one. Then Maddison got injured,
and it's so frustrating watching other clubs do stuff and Spurs like fanny around to save a few quid.
United do it quickly, don't they? Look at
the
Sesko. They sort of wanted him. You know, I know there was a bit of back and forth with Newcastle. They got him.
I don't think we should be comparing ourselves to United.
No. I'm not. But other clubs get stuff done, and predominantly we don't.
Yeah,
we don't. I mean, Arsenal are obviously similar, but like Liverpool, you know, they wanted Wirtz, they got him. They wanted Ekitike, they got him.
Yeah, Liverpool, City, Arsenal, all got their main business done really, really quickly.
Look, as Adam says, we always seem to
Adam Flanagan, we always seem to drag our heels over signings. Jorge, nothing's guaranteed. But you've got to give it the best possible go. Eugene Tell should go on loan. I think that's fair. Nicholas Elliott, your intro is almost as long as your VAR decisions, guys. Thank you for your support, Nicholas.
If there's an opportunity to sign Eze,
should we blame the parking system?
We should get it done as soon as possible.
Absolutely.
Overpay. If it costs 65 million, pay it.
Yeah.
If we have an opportunity to get him this summer, get it done.
Ali.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
This is a good segue.
It is.
Into this piece.
I'll tee it up. You've written an article on the Opta Analyst website, which you can go and read for free, which is very nice. It's called theanalyst.com.
Yeah.
And you've asked five questions
to preview Tottenham's season.
Absolutely.
Sorry to interrupt, but
no,
go. Finishing your sentence for you there. Just
without giving the whole thing away.
Well, I thought we could just go through them topic by topic. Because some of them are quite pertinent around that discussion and around last night. So the first one was about how Spurs and Thomas Frank, so I called them the Premier League 17th best team, how they were going to fare with Champions League football. And one of those things was something I touched on earlier was Ange got a lot of criticism for his relentless football. Spurs ranking in the top 3 teams for distance covered, sprints, off the ball runs, pressures in the final third. For all of those things, it just seemed like the players never stopped and they were dropping like flies. So with this new more pragmatic manager, are we going to see fewer injuries? But I mean, pre-season doesn't really bode well on that front, does it? Or is this group of players just too injury prone? Do we need to start thinking more about availability when we're signing players? I mean, I suppose Solanke's an interesting one because he never had an injury before he joined Spurs, and then he's had
3 now.
He's had 3, and which will really disrupt his progress.
One thing I just want to add on that though is I know whenever we get an injury it's heightened, but players do get injured. That is part of football.
Yeah,
that is. You know, Maddison I know is a bit injury prone, but Maddison is a freak, right? But players will get niggles.
I suppose
they play a lot of football. It is normal for players to miss a few weeks.
100%. I suppose the question is, Spurs' injury crisis was so extreme last season.
Yeah, no, of course
hamstring injuries were a real
correct.
problem. And also on that, Ange actually rotated in the early stages of the Europa League quite a lot. Spurs can't do that this season.
No, absolutely.
Every single Champions League game is going to be really, really hard. Probably harder than the weekend game coming up.
You make a couple of changes, don't you?
Yeah. So it's going to be a real test of the durability of this team. Spurs' defence, if you lose Romero or Van de Ven, drops in quality significantly. That was one thing.
I think it's a massive problem, by the way.
You think
playing in the Champions League this season? Yeah.
Yeah. I actually said before the Europa League win, obviously I wanted to be in the Champions League and I wanted to win the Europa League, but I wouldn't have been that disappointed if winning the Europa League meant going back into the Europa League.
I completely agree.
Because I think while it's better for this season, I think longer term, not being in the Champions League this season would have been better for Spurs.
It's going to have a hindrance potentially.
But Champions League nights at the Spurs Stadium,
as a fan,
it's going to be
away
way better.
From the injuries and stuff. As a fan,
the next one, which is I sort of held back from saying when we were just talking about Spurs signings was, is leaving their transfer business late going to hurt them again? And we've been here before. Spurs have left signings late, and you play the Super, not only like 3 Premier League games, but the Super Cup. Yeah. And I actually think I wrote this at the beginning of the week, but last night, the answer to this question is yes, this will hurt them, because last night, if Spurs had Gibbs-White or Eze or Savinho, even to just bring on and hold on to the ball better than the players who were on the pitch,
would have made a difference.
Like, would have made a massive difference. And it might even, one of those signings might even have been the difference between winning and losing that game. So that's really frustrating. Got Burnley, Bournemouth, and at home away. And City away before the transfer window ends. Like Burnley at home. Like,
should win.
Not even should win. It's not like must win, but you
say that
you'd be disappointed if Spurs don't win that. Bournemouth lost their entire defence. Totally different defence at home. Should win that. City obviously very tough, but won that game 4-0.
You want to be looking at minimum 6 points.
Like,
and as you say.
And why not give the team the best chance possible of winning those games? A new manager, give him all the ingredients he needs to make the best possible start. Ange was given a lot of grace for winning because he made such a positive start at the beginning. Won 8 out of his first 10 games. Obviously that was like not a sign of what was to come entirely, but it did go on to, like, people were just, he was saying the right things, he was winning games, people were like, yeah, I'm on board with this guy. And like, if we were to lose out on 20 million, let's say, on transfer fees, I know I'm just like spending someone else's money here, but like, surely that there is more positives in winning a few extra games early on, winning the Super Cup to spend a few extra quid. So yeah, that was one thing.
I think it's spot on.
Another question is whether Solanke can find his goal scoring touch this season. I think he scored 19 goals this season before we signed him. 8 Premier League goals last season.
Well, for what it's worth, I listened to a few, it's completely separate, fantasy football pods, and a lot of the big fantasy football aggregators are talking about getting him in their side.
And they're not even just because of the first few games.
Do you think, though?
100%.
But they
I play fantasy football. Yeah. It's just because we've got a really favourable run of fixtures. If you check our opening 9 fixtures,
well, I'm looking on
they're as favourable as anyone outside of Man City.
The fixture difficulty rating is not that favourable for us, is it?
Well, if you look at the first,
it's about mid.
We've got Burnley at home, Bournemouth at home, Wolves at home. Those are the first 3.
And
I think the first 3 away games are West Ham,
we go
Brighton,
Burnley at home, City away, Bournemouth at home, West Ham away, Brighton away. I mean, it's all right.
Yeah, but go on a few more.
Well, that's first 5.
Yeah, after that it's Wolves, it's Leeds, it's Everton. It's favourable.
All I'm saying is, well,
are you saying that is why Solanke's going to get a load of goals?
I'm saying that non-Tottenham fans obviously like what they see, whether it's that may tie into what Ali's article is saying. I think that's a marker of what other people think is going to do.
Record signing for the club, 8 non-penalty goals Premier League goals last season. I think 15 is kind of like the minimum, really. Like, he does need to get more. I think he makes the team better than Richarlison does.
Absolutely.
Because of his
But Richarlison gets more chances.
Yeah, he does.
You look last season, you can't really think of a Solanke miss chance, really, can you?
No.
There was one, I think maybe against Roma, where he hit the bar in the Europa League, but hardly, he had a half chance, which he should have done better in the Europa League final, but he doesn't get chances, which is my worry. He's not you feel like he doesn't love scoring goals like a Jermaine Defoe used to. Or Kane. Yeah. He's not greedy.
Yeah.
You feel like he's not the kind where when we win a penalty, and I know he took a load of penalties and took a good one last night, but you feel like he's not that kind of guy that goes, give me the ball, I'm having it, it's a free goal.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to have that hunger and
Are we maybe
greediness.
Looking at goal involvements? Is that what we want
to
see?
He got a load of assists.
Yeah.
You'd want him to be getting 20 in all comps and 15 in the league. I think that would be the
If
minimum.
he stays fit, I mean, I think
15
that would
in the league.
If he was fit last year, though, he'd have done that, wouldn't he?
I don't know, he got 8 or 9 in maybe 28 games, I don't know. Maybe he would have.
Yeah, I mean, injuries is probably part of the
But
conversation.
let's face it.
Yeah.
Let's face it. That second from February.
Yeah, well, he did, and when he came back fit,
he didn't even play.
The league off, but he needs to get more. I really like him. He has to get more goals. He needs to become more ruthless and get himself in the box more. And as we've said, more creative players will give him more chances. Inevitably.
Yeah, absolutely. Can we bring up a graphic?
We can.
We have that.
Where are we going?
The squad profile one.
Ages. I've got written here.
Yes, ages.
If you're watching on YouTube, get on this.
Oh, so some people can't see this.
Well, if you're listening, but if you're watching, all the people that are watching
Shame
now
on
will
you.
be able to be watching.
Get on YouTube. So this is a graphic that shows the age profile of this squad, and
we'll put it out on the socials later anyway for people to see it.
Rather debatable peak years highlighted, age bracket highlighted, sort of 24 to 29, and I was just asking the question about whether this squad is too young, and I think maybe inexperienced as well, because beyond you've got maybe even the older players like Bentancur. Can't have Romero in this list, but Bentancur, Bissouma, Vicario, Maddison, Porro, Kulusevski, Richarlison, none of them have really played in like big competitions for extended periods of time. Romero is a winner, but once you've taken Son out of the team, Ben Davies is the longest serving player, the oldest player, the longest serving player at the club. Brian Hill, second longest serving player at the club.
That is awful.
We've got a lot of players: Archie Gray, Lucas Bergvall, Tell, Odobert, even a Doggy, Sarr are like on the Johnson on the very, very young side of things. And like last night, it did feel again like bringing on Bergvall, Gray, Tell. It was kind of like, well, these are all good players, but like, wow, this is a big, tough environment to bring them into. And like, yeah, you want them to be thrown in at the deep end, and they can play Champions League games. But I was wondering if the squad is lacking a bit of that like winning nous and like the leadership. There was a big difference last season for all of Son's sort of decline. Spurs won 42% of the Premier League games he started and 7% of the ones he lost. A lot of that is to do with his ability, but like there's also like an intangible kind of like, wow, we're playing with one of the Premier League's greatest players here. Like, he can take us to the next level. Now you look to the left wing and you see Tell or Odobert or Brennan Johnson there. Is that going to elevate the rest of the players? Is that a problem like that needs addressing?
Well, I think it's why Paulinho was an important signing.
Yeah.
I didn't mind Danso either bringing.
That's
him
why
in
if we could get in like sort of an Eze.
I just think Savinho. Savinho
Kudus.
falls into that category of, do we want another player?
That was my point about the extra winger.
Absolutely.
And finally, a kind of on the other graphic. So this is just a graphic that shows the proportion of time that the opposition had the ball in like build up, it's called. So that's like comfortable possession, I guess, that each team was in a high block, low block and mid block, and Brentford were far and away used the highest proportion of a low block. And the question I was asking here was, can Thomas Frank make Spurs enjoyable to watch again? Brackets for their own fans, because
I was going to,
everyone would go, oh, well, you were entertaining last season because you lost every game. Spurs fans, I think, as a Spurs fan, I think the most important thing about this season is that going to games is enjoyable. That would be
But
progress.
what does that look like?
Well, I was going to say this last night.
That doesn't look like beating Burnley 1-0 with an 89th minute winner and like defending first, and it involves creating chances, being pragmatic, defending when you need to, but pressing when you can as well. And last night was a really, really positive sign.
I can't remember the last time I enjoyed a game as much as last night.
Yeah.
Despite that horrible ending. Honestly,
But
I was
is
really
part of
enjoying
that
it, and we had 30% of the ball.
But I was about to say,
you can be pragmatic.
The point
we
I was
had a
gonna
spell
make-
under Conte where we were a bit pragmatic, but we were so fun to watch in 2022.
And the point I was going to make, and I should have made when we were talking about that graphic, was Brentford, you don't see that graphic and you're like, well, yeah, Brentford were boring. They just sat back.
Were
They were really
most goals
exciting.
in their home games.
They were really exciting. I think
They were fun to watch.
Brentford were the 4th highest scoring team in the whole league last season. 66 goals, outscored Spurs. And yet they used a low block more than anyone else. That's what we want to see, is like, we want to see a mixture of Europa League Spurs and Premier League Spurs. And last night was a really good sign on that front. Really good indicator, I think, that this season could be enjoyable, basically.
You can be fun without having the ball.
Yeah.
How many times have we seen Spurs, in games where we dominate the ball 60, 70, 80%, even under Poch, and, struggle to break teams down? That is not always fun.
No, my only worry, and I'm not... normally, I could spin a positive on anything. My only worry last night, I love the set pieces, I love the defensive solidity. My only worry is, and maybe it's with personnel it will change. My only worry is how does that playing like that look over a 38-game Premier League season?
Yeah.
You've both promised me that it's going to be 4-3-3, more attacking football against Burnley on Saturday.
I didn't promise.
It's going to be more. There's going to be more intent there. I do worry a little bit that we've prepared for the whole season by playing like the best teams on the planet, inclling the PSG game.
I don't mind that though.
No, I don't mind
I think
it.
the last 4 games are really worked out really well for us.
Yeah, but how much does that prepare you to play like the most defensive team in England on Saturday?
But it's difficult though in pre-season, isn't it? Because you
play crap teams. You don't know
what
where
do you
you're
do?
at
Play
either.
League One and Championship teams. You don't really play a Burnley and a Fulham at home, or a Wolves at home. Teams we traditionally struggle to beat at home and break down. You can't.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
No one wants to watch
completely.
that.
It's all good going. Yeah, we played Arsenal, Bayern Munich, PSG, which is there's a reason we've done that, which is hopefully good preparation for the Champions League
and money.
But but the opposition as well.
Absolutely.
We didn't have to play Arsenal.
Yeah, but it sells more tickets.
Yeah, of course it does.
Yeah.
But some would have sold however many.
True,
tickets.
that's
But
true.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're
saying,
and it worked against Arsenal even in pre-season.
I just hope that, because I think Saturday could be very frustrating, and the last minute sucker punch of losing last night. I just hope, I'm going into this season thinking we've just won the Europa League.
It should be a positive.
It should be.
Well, go on. That's the last thing I wanted to ask you both. What are the hopes and what are the realistic expectations for this season? You can go first.
We need to get back into Europe via the league.
Okay.
Desperately.
So to put that's sort of 7th at worst. Yeah.
I'm desperate to win a trophy. I've been
got the taste for it now.
I've been so desperate to win a trophy.
Get that shirt off again.
A cup exit won't hurt us more this season, I don't think. Every defeat hurts. It always hurts going out of a cup. But every time we'd go out of a League Cup to Colchester or Leicester or Sheffield United or Middlesbrough, it'd be like, that's another year. Especially when it was the FA Cup and it was the last bit of silverware. But we want to be going deep in a cup. If we sign 2 or 3 players, Kulusevski coming back, maybe even Maddison at some point this season, we're going to have a lot of attacking quality, and we should be able to rotate and put out reasonably good sides in the cups. There's no reason why we can't have a cup run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I
don't think it sounds quite defeatist at the start of the season, but I don't think I would be too disappointed with getting into Europe with the league and going deep in a cup, as long as, like I said before, going to games is enjoyable because Spurs are good to watch. And that you see progress on the pitch. If that is I don't realistically think this Spurs squad can go into the season competing in the Champions League and get top 4. I don't think
we need to be competitive in the Champions League as well.
Exactly.
The aim is obviously the draw's not even been made yet, but we should be minimum looking at getting a playoff from the Champions League. That top 8's hard, but we
want a
should,
few good fun Champions League nights,
we could
give
beat
Real Madrid
anyone
a
at
good
home
game.
in the Champions League.
Yeah.
You saw how well did Villa do last year? They nearly knocked out
Absolutely.
PSG,
Well,
and they beat Bayern Munich. There's no reason, if we get that ground going how it can go, there's no reason we can't do that.
Well, you mentioned it. The thing about Frank is, at the very least, and this is why I'm not so worried about this weekend, is that at home he does go for it a lot more, I would say, than when he's gone
We
away
have to
in his
improve.
past.
Ali was saying, we've got to be more exciting, which is true, but have to improve the home record.
Yeah.
The home record's been terrible for a long time. teams go to that ground, Crystal Palaces and stuff, and they've all won there now.
Yeah.
They've all
I
won
mean, we
there.
just saw Spurs lose way too many games last season.
just
And,
to
that
everyone.
won't happen. That
no,
won't
of course, but like we've got to. It just needs to not feel. Last few seasons felt like quite a slog, didn't it? With the like most incredible
Bit of a
ending,
chore.
but it was by the end, it was kind of like, right, who wants my ticket?
6 wins out
No,
of 19.
and the answer was no one.
Yeah.
6 out of 19 for a club like us is.
So what would we take if you with the lowest?
What, home wins?
No. Overall
The lowest
season,
bar for the season.
lowest like 7th in the FA Cup semi-final. You would
I think
take
in
that
terms
now?
of the league, I wouldn't take it now, but I think in terms of the league, anything below 7th is a. I don't know what we're going to do in the window, but I'd like to think a bad season.
Yeah.
Spurs in this day and age, we everything we've got going for us financially and
need to be in Europe.
It has to be minimum 7th.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Look, very last question, because I'm interested to hear what you. Do you think he's under less pressure to win a trophy now we've won one?
Yes.
definitely.
Yeah.
Because if we go out of a cup, he's not going to get that.
Yeah.
Won't be the narrative.
Yeah.
I know there was the typical
The thing
Spursy last
Yeah,
night,
yeah.
but it won't be like that.
Yeah.
The thing with the League Cup, it's always the case that the best thing in the League Cup, other than winning it, is going out in the first round.
Yeah.
And that couldn't be more true.
It all depends
of
on who you
of-
get in these cups, though, isn't it? Because it's
Yeah.
like, that League Cup game, I believe, is the week before the first Champions League game. I don't know who we've got
No.
in between,
Right.
like that league game,
Yeah.
but I don't know if we were to. If we were to get a big side, what we'd do. But I agree with what you're saying, but you can easily get to the League Cup semi-finals without doing much in
Yeah,
Europe.
yeah.
You get a few, Championship League One teams, and
Yeah.
then you're there.
Cruise through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
All right. Well, you can read Ali's article, as I said, at theanalyst.com. Yes.
Correct.
I did read.
And not
through.
just mine. Other people work there too, and they're much better than me. So, check it out.
Plenty. What are you guys up to this weekend? Matches or press?
I will be at Burnley.
We'll be at Burnley.
Yeah.
Burnley.
Burnley.
Not
Press
in
conference
Burnley.
tomorrow.
Spurs press conference tomorrow, and then at the game on Saturday.
Lovely stuff. And we hope for 3 points. Thanks for joining us as ever.
Prediction?
Can't let you go without getting a prediction.
You nearly.
I'll
You've been flawless.
I was
going to
do the Johnny thing and just not give mine, but I know you're going to give.
What's
Mate,
yours?
give it. I think we'll beat Burnley 2-0.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
We all used to go goal conceded last year, didn't we?
No, not this year.
You can't concede to Burnley, honestly.
In fact, we're going to
You
win
can't.
1-0. Danso's going to come on and lob one
He's
in
gonna throw
right
one
deep into added time.
Throw one into the net.
Straight in.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
flick on in.
Oh, right, okay.
No, 2-0, I reckon.
2-0. Excellent. As I said, Johnny will be back on Monday. Wait to see who's going to be alongside him. Hopefully we're toasting an opening win of the season. As ever, as I mentioned earlier, get onto the An Echo of Glory YouTube page on your laptop or on your PC to sign up to be a member, and you can try and win the Mickey van der Ven signed shirt from the final in Bilbao. Thank you for all the messages as ever. Jorge Pena, Adam Flanagan, and the others. Check us out on Instagram, check us out on Twitter, YouTube. We'll see you next Monday, and up the Spurs.